Okay, so it is my pleasure to present a brief overview of the last 3 years of my life. In addition to the STEMSAT project, I've been developing this aerospace systems management bachelor's degree program. And we had our first official offering of classes to this degree this previous fall. And so at the end of our second semester here, I believe we're approaching 30 students in the program, and that doesn't sound like many, but from an academic point of view, it's pretty good. So I'm excited about it. So I'll give you a brief overview of the whole program. Okay, so we'll skip this part on Athens State University because I mentioned it before. We're an upper division only school, starting with junior year all the way through graduate degrees. All of our students are transfer students. So we have had a minor in aviation management for over 10 years now. It has been part of our management of technology program that I've pretty much headed up. And so we have provided that opportunity for students to earn a certificate with 5 aviation management classes or a minor with 6. And if you wonder why there's a distinction there, it's part of our state of Alabama educational institution here that has defined what certificates look like and what minors look like and so forth. So really there's only one course difference between a minor and a certificate, but the certificate allows students who are not enrolled in a degree program to come in and earn a certificate, and all the coursework they've done will eventually count to a degree program should they want to continue their education. And of course, that's our objective, is to hook students with a certificate program, and hopefully they'll like what they're doing and go on for a degree. So we had been approached by several of our state of Alabama aviation colleges and organizations that say, hey, you really need to take that certificate and minor and make a full degree program out of it at the bachelor's degree level. And so we toyed with that over the past 10 years and finally got to the point where, okay, let's go for it. And so we did, and it took about 3 years to develop this program. It has 2 degree paths, or 2 concentrations. One is aviation for those who are pursuing a commercial pilot, aircraft mechanic, air traffic controller, those kinds of careers. Get that.
Could you try again?
Yeah, Siri's talking back to me here. And a space systems concentration for those wanting to do a management career in the new space race that we have. And we are at the right place at the right time, and we hope with the right degree program, because Huntsville area, which is basically all of North Alabama, is blessed with so many of the latest new companies pursuing commercial space, like SpaceX, Blue Origin. We're building the rocket engines, the new rocket engine for the Vulcan rocket for ULA right here in Huntsville, Blue Origin. SpaceX is here. Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, the list goes on and on. And so we're at the right place at the right time, we think, and this new degree program will address that opportunity in space systems. So we've developed the new program. It's a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Systems Management. We're the only upper level or any degree program in the whole state of Alabama, and generally speaking, the Southeast, that is approaching this from a systems management viewpoint. But we do support both aviation and space. And some of the typical occupations for this degree graduate would be a commercial airline pilot. And I'll talk more about that in the airline transport pilot certification here in a minute. Airport manager, like this fixed base operations manager, aviation maintenance manager, and then in the space side, space mission planning, control, communications, we have this International Space Station mission control for experiments here in Huntsville, the HOSC at Marshall Space Flight Center. We've had students work there. Aerospace project management at any of the prime contractors I mentioned. Aircraft and aerospace manufacturing manager. We've partnered with two lower division schools, both Wallace State Community College that trains pilots, and also Calhoun Community College that I mentioned before, supporting us on CubeSat projects, MSAT, that also have a computer-aided design specialty in aerospace technology and an advanced manufacturing specialty in advanced technology at the 2-year level. And all kinds of avionics and aircraft and spacecraft systems careers here at anything ranging from development of the new Ares mission, Artemis mission that's ongoing with NASA, spacecraft development like the SpaceX Dragon crew vehicle, the Orion crew vehicle being done locally with Boeing, list goes on. And then for professional pilots, we're collaborating with Wallace State, and hopefully we'll get approval of the FAA to work. We've already signed an agreement to that effect with Wallace State, but the FAA has a provision that if you are teamed with a 4-year institution and teach the right courses, you can airline transport pilot certification can be reduced by 500 hours of flight experience. Normally it's 1,500 hours of required flight experience. With this FAA approved program, you can cut that to 1,000 hours. That represents tens of thousands of dollars of investment in flight experience and, of course, time. So we're working with the FAA to get that implemented. So each of the programs, all of our students, as I mentioned, are transfer students. So you would come into our program with pre-professional coursework, around 62 to 64 semester hours of general elective or general education courses and business type related courses, as you see here. Then the aviation concentration is modeled specifically to meet the requirements of the FAA circular that I mentioned that would reduce ATP flight experience. And these are the type courses that they require in the Bachelor of Science degree in order for that to be approved. So we've basically built our course offerings in the aviation concentration to exactly fit the matrix supplied by the FAA. Now, we haven't been approved yet. We're in the process of working with the FAA out of our Birmingham Flight Service District Office, FSDO, and expect to get in the trenches with them in the very near future. So these are the type courses we offer, anything from ATC, aircraft safety, security, aviation law, aircraft propulsion systems and flight systems, engineering, and so forth, aviation and space, human factors, big emphasis on that these days, all kinds of the aerodynamics and flight performance, etc. In the space systems area, we're looking to put people in a position to be an aerospace project manager and to do things associated with aerospace programs here at SpaceX, Marshall Space Flight Center, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Blue Origin, you know, the list goes on and on. And these are the kind of courses we're offering: spacecraft environments, mission planning, control, communications, space law, and treaties associated with space flight and exploration. Exploration strategies, as you've probably heard, the media is talking about the new space race, which is what they've termed the explosion in commercial space over the last decade. Aircraft, as well as rocket and spacecraft propulsion systems, risk management, aerospace systems and flight engineering, aviation and space human factors, aerodynamics, flight performance relative to spacecraft, and commercial space enterprises. So all of these are very pointed classes toward becoming a space systems manager type position. One of the things we do is we teach a course in mission operations and communications, and I'm speaking to you from our little miniature mission control facility here at Athens State. We have that, and we'll be teaching that course again this summer, where we actually simulate space launch missions, both manned and unmanned type missions. Part of it's based on studies that I participated in with Florida Institute of Technology, actual missions flown by SpaceX and NASA. And we teach students how to plan missions and do the mission control function here. And then, of course, we are very heavy on experiential learning, hands-on learning. And that's encouraged not only by the FAA, but just about everybody in higher education these days. We've recognized the benefit of having hands-on projects. And of course, for the space systems concentration, our STEMSAT project fits the bill. So a lot of our students are seeing homework assignments, research paper assignments, and other hands-on activities of design, build, test this STEMSAT hardware as part of their ASM program that they're working on right now. We've got another project scheduled to start this fall. Several years ago, we had a group here that did a preliminary design on a Mars surface spacesuit backpack, life support system, basically. So we just did that preliminary design. We're going to start that project where we're going to actually build a prototype of that life support backpack to interface with a spacesuit that's being designed at MIT. It's not a pneumatic pressurization type suit. It's a physical constriction type garment that you wear to keep to simulate the pressure required to maintain your body tissues and so forth without being pressurized with air per se. But anyways, so we're doing the backpack concept that would mate with that type of spacesuit. In the aviation area, we and myself primarily just finished up the build of an experimental aircraft that's part of our hands-on for the aviation thing. I did the first test flight on this plane about 2 weeks ago and was largely successful. The flight part of it was very good. We've going to make some modifications on the landing gear and the prop even, but so far as the flight characteristics of the airplane, no big surprises there. So we're actually going to have a fully documented aircraft design, hand-built to allow our aviation students to get very closely involved with. And so that's been exciting. This little airplane is based on a Corby Starlet, which is a Australian aircraft design from the 1960s, but we're using a Continental O200 100 horsepower engine and all the latest and greatest next gen avionics in the cockpit there. So, and you have to have that to fly out of Huntsville to begin with. So this airplane is based at the Huntsville International Airport. So the timeline on our degree program, it was finally approved in 2021 in December by the ACHE, A-C-H-E, the Alabama Council on Higher Education. And so it's been approved at the state level. It appears in our 22-23 catalog. And as I said, we officially launched the program in fall of last year. Some of the courses are also being taught as part of our management of technology minor and certificate programs. The whole aviation management program was rebranded about 2 years ago as Aerospace Systems Management. And then we took that a step further when we did the overall 4-year degree program. So, as I said, our class enrollment is steadily growing. If you visit Facebook and LinkedIn, you'll see we're fairly constant with our advertisement there, so to speak, of courses being offered and projects that we're working on and different things, and we're getting a lot of response from that. Looks like our 1-year milestone in fall term of this year, we'll have well over 30 students enrolled in the program. And so I think it's moving along very well. So far, so good. The last page here kind of shows some of the projects, some of the things we're doing. Our STEM SAT, there's the upper right, you see the Blue Origin BE4 engine that is the main engine of the United Launch Alliance Vulcan rocket, which has been assembled down on the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center and is undergoing tanking tests right now. Those engines are being built here in Huntsville and tested at Redstone Arsenal, and then sent over to Decatur, Alabama, about 30 miles from Huntsville, for assembly at ULA into the main vehicle. And then that is taken by barge, I believe, down to Kennedy Space Center, where the vehicles are stood up down there. And then you see an Atlas rocket on the left there that's also made and assembled by ULA. The little guy in the lower bottom there is one of our former aviation management graduates, pilot, and he's going to come back and be an adjunct instructor for us. So that's the overview of our program. I think we're going to see some success in offering it in our area. It's all offered online, so anyone anywhere in the world can take this program, earn their 4-year Bachelor's of Science degree in Aerospace Systems Management, and of course, specialize in either aviation management or space systems management. And we have high hopes and are staffing up to meet what we hope will be a flood of applicants. So if you know of anybody who's interested in furthering their education with a 4-year degree and are interested in aviation or space, it's not an engineering degree at all, but it is teaching someone to manage aerospace aviation type programs. So they get to maybe someday manage the engineers instead of being an engineer. Any questions at this point?
I'm curious, roughly how many faculty, staff, and things do you expect that you're going to need to run this program? Because it looks like a lot to me.
Yeah,
A lot of courses, a lot of specialization.
absolutely. There's a lot of moving parts here, Mel. Right now, we have one full-time faculty person who is myself, me, and we have about a half dozen highly qualified adjuncts that are teaching courses. And my goal and the promise of the administration when we uh, put the program in place was at the 1 year mark, we will analyze the growth of the program. And at that time, we'll hire 1 or 2 full-time additional faculty members and then grow the faculty to support it over time. And my plan, hopefully, is to retire sometime before I drop dead on the job. So I am personally mentoring several of these adjunct instructors, many of whom are graduates from our management of technology program and are working in the space or aviation field. So I'm mentoring them to hopefully apply for becoming a full-time faculty in the what I hope to be the near future. So I could see probably by the end of 5 years, I hope to have around a half dozen faculty members supporting the program.
Any other questions?
Sure.
Send your interested folks our way. Like I say, it's all online and it's very reasonable, by the way. Our rates at the undergraduate as well as graduate levels are significantly lower than Auburn and Embry-Riddle, even University of Alabama in these type of courses. And of course, no one else offers exactly this program. So get a hold of us and we'd be glad to work with anyone who's interested.
Any other questions? All right.
I was just gonna comment that maybe something can be worked out with our management people here, because they have to do their first 2 years somewhere else, right?
That's right.
So maybe a partnership between our business folks, management folks here, and your program, where they can act as a pipeline
to
your program. I mean, I'm not in that area at all, but I mean, it seems like a good fits, because you guys are just up the highway from us, right?
That's right. That's right. And we've had collaboration before on several programs, particularly before we were offering master's level courses. We were partnered with UNA there. So yes, sir, we'd definitely love to talk about that.
Now, speaking of pipelines, I'm an adjunct for Webster University, which teaches the Space Operations Management graduate degree for a master's.
Oh yeah.
It's not like you'd be a pipeline into that.
We'd love to talk to you about that, Rich.
Yeah.